Hello, my name is Susan Ashley. I am a spiritual consultant and healer, and today I'd like to talk to you about sexual abuse, but in a different way to the way you're used to hearing it. Now, some of you who know me know that I specialised in assisting people to take back their lives after being sexually abused, and I specialised in ritual abuse. So although I believe that any sexual abuse is horrendous, it has a ripple effect on a person's being on many different levels. I chose, well, actually it chose me, and the only reason I'm talking about this subject is because not me, but my guides really want me to help people who are working with people with sexual abuse. I stopped working with this primarily many years ago. Every now and again, I will have a client that presents with this situation and I will dedicate myself to helping them. I have chosen not to be full frontal in this arena because I had a child. It's a very dangerous genre to work in. It's extremely dangerous. I used to have death threats, all sorts of things. I didn't work close to my home. I worked a distance from home. I put a lot of things in practice, I suppose, I set things up. You can tell I'm finding it hard to talk about this because, guidance told me they want me to help people around this and to go public with it, but I'm extremely nervous to do so. It's a bit like my videos on the alien beings. It's very close to my heart. And when something's close to my heart, it affects me deeply. Even just talking about it makes me really upset. So, when I studied, you learn to keep a distance from your clients. You learn that to be professional, you put a desk between you and the person. And at that point, I didn't consider myself a spiritual person, although I could see auras. Can you believe it? I could see auras and I spoke to spirit. I just didn't consider myself a spiritual person. I wanted to go down the track of what motivates people to do certain things and have certain behaviours. So I went down the line of understanding people psychologically and mentally. And through that, I went into being a therapist specialising in people with ritual abuse. Did I advertise that? No, I didn't. People just turned up that had this particular type of abuse. And over 7 years, that was pretty much all I saw. And I got a really good knowledge on what's going on. Now, after that, as I said, I just saw a client every now and again, because when you commit to working with people like this, you have to commit to them 100%. Like, I was on call. If someone had a memory, a flashback, they could ring me at 3 or 4 in the morning and I would help them through it. So when you devote yourself, or when I devote myself to someone's healing, I'm in 100%. And in fact, I used to get people to sign an agreement with me of commitment. Because you find that often people who've been ritually abused, which means someone who's abused over a long period of time repeatedly, or ritual abuse in the sense of satanic abuse, sexual abuse. And so these sort of abuses create subpersonalities, personality disorders, some would say schizophrenia, paranoia. All sorts of problems will happen as a result of that type of abuse. So, you're going into different aspects, and sometimes things can be hidden by one psychological manifestation, and it's not until you go deeper that you find out what's hidden. And that was the problem that a lot of people that came to me they'd been going to a psychiatrist for many years, and they would just hit walls. Like some of my clients had been going to people for 20 years on medications and things, and they would hit a wall. They just couldn't get over or even get into the memory. So it's a very interesting subject. And so what I'm going to do is a series of videos on discussing how you can help someone who has had this experience, and there are more than we realize out there, and how you can free them. Now, any abuse that is of a sexual nature creates, it's almost as if it cuts open a person's aura. You know when you see people who, I'm saying you know when you see, but maybe you don't, when someone has a car accident or they have a trauma, it's not just their physical body and emotional body and mental body that's affected, it's also their energetic body. And that's usually a component that's never looked at. So I'm looking at things from a totally energetic point of view, whilst keeping my eye on what's going on psychologically and emotionally. So I was able to assist people, and some of them realised it and some of them didn't. I mean, I have clients that will say to me, I can't believe how much I learned from you, and I can't believe how much I moved. But while we were going through it, they didn't really notice much. And it's because I have a very feminine, gentle approach to everything. However, I don't let people get away with their stuff. In other words, I don't let you sit in it. So I think that's important, because a lot of therapists become lazy and they let people sit in their stuff because they're able to make money out of it. My motto was, if I'm any good, you don't need to come and see me anymore. So I know you haven't heard from me for a while, and I did put down why that was, because my son's been finishing his uni and everything, and I moved back over to Europe, and I've had a bit of adjustment myself. I've been going through some shifts and changes, and this is a subject I actually don't like talking about because it's dangerous. All sorts of shit starts to happen when you start talking about this sort of stuff. And so I'll just share with you so that I can give you some information today, and then if you like, you can ask me questions and I'll answer them. And that might be a good way to go about this. But one of the things that people don't look at is the energetic aspect. So when someone's abused, their aura, just like if they've had a car accident or some sort of trauma, gets a split in it. Now, when you have a car accident or something, you know, some physical trauma, the aura does split open, but over time it closes, right? So sometimes it'll take 2 months, 6 weeks, depending. When you have an operation, it's the same thing. So, but when you've been sexually abused and it's ritual, it doesn't close. So of course that opens you to entities. It opens you to be far more absorbent than the average person. So you can become highly sensitive, highly empathetic. There's different words for it, right? So what's the first thing I would do is close the aura. But before I do that, I have to find out, where is the energy lodged in their body? It's not always where you think it is. Most people would think, oh, first and second chakra. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's in a person's heart, in their throat, in their third eye, solar plexus, and yes, it can be in their first and second chakra also. Absolutely. But it's not always the case, right? So you have to find out where that perpetrator's energy is hooked into that person. Because the reason the person cannot move forward is because they're still tied to the energy of the perpetrator or perpetrators, or in some cases, perpetrators and entities that are deliberately placed there. Now, any of you who are religious or adhere to Catholic religion, you know that we have, in the Catholic religion, there are ceremonies and rituals that you go through, like your christening, you know, your baptism, your confirmation, your Holy Communion, you go marriage, all sorts of things happen. So these rituals are, how can I say, they're mimicked by the darkness, yeah? So they have their rituals that lock certain things into your system. And so if you're looking at someone's aura and the perpetrator, and you're working with someone who's been ritually abused through satanic processes, you're going to that's a big job. You're going to have to look at every ritual they've been through and every person that's abused them. And this takes time. That's why it takes a little bit of time. I think these days, you know, what I'm finding is that you can actually heal things quite quickly. You can work on more things at once in different layers. And so that helps people to move through things even faster than they did. So my first bit of advice to you, and this goes for any sexual abuse, whether ritual or you know, a one-time event, look at unhooking them from the perpetrator. And that can stop bad dreams. It can also help with those physical reactions that people have to certain sounds and smells. Okay? And that's the first bit of advice I'm going to give you. And like I said, I'll do more of these videos. I'm very afraid to do them because it's opening me up to things that I've actually deliberately closed myself down to. And one of the main reasons I'm choosing to do this now is because of what's going on, but also because I made a decision that I don't want to work in this anymore. And because of the knowledge that I have, which is very unique, I feel it's my duty to do something. I was going to write a book many years ago, but I was told that I would be killed if I did. These days, things are far more open. There's more opportunity for people to get the word out. And so that's why I'm doing this now, because the timing is right. So please send me a message, ask me a question. If you've got a client that's presenting this sort of thing, I know it's scary, but I can help you as a therapist to stand your ground and to stay clear and not be afraid and be able to work through this. And I can help you as a therapist to assist your client to freedom. Now, I can't promise you that that person will ever live a completely normal life. A person who's had a one-off experience can, or even a couple of experiences, can go on to live a very normal life. But a person who's experienced satanic abuse, that's another ball game all of its own. So I'm going to leave you now. If you're interested, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and, you know, like, share, do whatever it needs to. I'm not very good with technical things, so I hope I'm doing it right. I'm sending you all a lot of love. I know that the truth is being revealed, which is why I'm revealing this truth to you now. Bye.